The new D&D starter set, Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, was released on August 1st at Target stores exclusively, and at first glance, you're really not getting all that much for your $20, especially when you compare it to the other boxes I've got on the shelf back there. However, as we take a closer look at the contents in this video, I think you're gonna find that it's not quite so simple. There actually is some real value here, some things it offers that the other boxes just don't. Hi everyone, my name is Nate and you are watching WASD20. Now, adventures like the one in this box often come with really helpful read-aloud text so that the DM can really effectively set the scene for their players. This is great, but what about those moments when you or your players just kinda, veer off the path of the adventure a little bit? My sponsor for this video, Describe, is great for these situations. Describe offers a huge and ever-growing library of read-aloud text written by professional RPG writers. Monsters, locations, NPCs, spell effects, and more. They even have great-looking maps with descriptive text keyed to each location. You can use Describe to prepare in advance or keep it handy at the table so you can improvise better when the party heads off in unexpected directions. Check it out at describe.com or click the link in the video description. You can sign up for a free account or use code WASD20 to opt for the paid account and unlock even more features at a discounted rate for my viewers. Thanks to Describe for sponsoring this video. I'd also like to thank all of you who shop through my Amazon affiliate links when you buy your D&D products. However, this box right here is not going to be one of them, at least until October 4, because it's a Target exclusive. Now, I think this is a bad move for a couple of reasons. First of all, those of you who live outside the US, you're probably not going to be able to find this until October 4. Secondly, when Target runs it, things are just a little bit of a mess. People were getting their pre-ordered boxes a couple days early. That's fine, no complaints. But I held off because on the website it said if you pre-order, you get it on release day or a couple days after. And I didn't want to risk that. I wanted mine on release day. So on release day, I drive out to a local Target that has a number of them in stock, according to their website. And apparently they're like all on pallets in the back and they won't be unpacked until the end of the week. So I ordered online for store pickup at a couple other locations that had it in stock, only to find out that those orders were canceled within an hour or two. Anyways, after a few days, I eventually did get one delivered to my house from Target.com, but I think that Hasbro/Wizards of the Coast just needs to know that Target is not good at this. It's bad for local game shops and it's bad for consumers. There, that rant out of the way, let's get down to the table and open up the box. All right, here we have the Dragons of Stormwreck Isle starter set for 2 to 6 players. And I'm gonna add a little asterisk to that and say, no, I don't think so, unless your player is gonna be playing 4 characters. Anyway, more on that in a little bit here. Let's open up the box. So, in the box here, we get some dice. I already opened these, but these are the exact same dice, as far as I can tell, as the original starter set. There are 6 of them, which is all you need and nothing extra, unlike the Essentials kit, which did come with some extra. Now, I'm going to be referring to the Essentials kit and the starter set here and there, and I'll just say that those come with a lot more in general. And for a comparison on those, I'll put a link right up at the top there, and you can check it out. Where I compare the starter set versus the Essentials kit. We also get this flyer here, and you might say, well, I'll just skip this, throw it away or whatever, but actually, I will mention that I think that the videos you can find at dnd.wizards.com/starter are actually really valuable. And one of the main things this set adds over others. There's learn to play videos, there's learn to DM videos, and there are some guide videos specific to the Dragons of Stormwreck Isle adventure, including like how to run the first encounter. There's actually a 10-minute video on how to run the first encounter. So anyway, that is one of the main things I'll say is some added value here. So we get this starter set rulebook. And by the way, yes, there is this little QR code and you can scan that and then head over to actually see those videos. This is just a link to those videos I mentioned. The rulebook is only 26 pages. That is shorter, definitely, than the original starter set, which was 32 pages. And it is also shorter than the Essentials kit rulebook because that included a lot more stuff because it goes up to level 7, and it also includes rules for character creation. There are no rules for character creation in this set, just like the original starter set. It just comes with some pre-generated characters. All right, and then we also get the Dragons of Stormwreck Isle adventure, which we'll take a look at in a moment. And then we get the pre-generated characters. There are 5 of them. Pretty much just the basic classes you would expect: wizard, cleric, paladin, rogue, and I think fighter. So yeah, pretty standard characters here. They don't come with names, but they do have some background information. So that's actually really cool. Here's like personal goal, for example, and these personal goals tie in with the adventure. So the rulebook is pretty similar to those of the other boxed sets, but I do think they break some things down a little bit differently in a slightly more beginner-friendly way. They just have some different ways of explaining things and different ways of formatting things that I think is slightly more beginner-friendly than some of the other sets. You do not get very many spells in the back because they're only giving you the spells that you'll need for the pre-generated characters from level 1 to 3. So you're not going to be choosing spells, really. You're just going to be stuck with the spells they give you here. So it's pretty limited in that way, and that's one of the reasons this book is shorter than the others. The Dragons of Stormwreck Isle adventure is also shorter than any of the other adventures. So far you might not be very impressed, but withhold your judgment, please. Oh, one other thing I'll just mention here that was kind of disappointing is that a lot of people noticed that these characters here are actually some of the characters from the D&D cartoon in the, I believe it was late 80s. How cool is that? And they show up absolutely nowhere in this adventure. No, they're not really the pre-gens. They are not NPCs in this adventure. It's just kind of a cool, I guess, Easter egg type thing that is going to end up disappointing a lot of people. Let's take a look at the adventure, The Dragons of Stormwreck Isle. Overall, I think this is a solid adventure. It's got a really good introduction here for some of the basics for the new Dungeon Master, a lot of good DM tips and advice, and a map of the location of Stormwreck Isle, which is where this adventure takes place. It's a pretty small island, and the whole adventure takes place right here. Now, in terms of number of players here, it recommends having 1 Dungeon Master and 4 players, but you could go with 5 because there are 5 included. It'll just be a little bit easier. It says if you have fewer than 4 players, you can have some players take on the role of 2 characters, so the group has at least 4 characters. So doing the math there, you would need to have 2 players, each playing 2 characters, and 1 Dungeon Master. So that's 3 people, not 2 people. All right, so anyway, I think it should definitely say for 3 to 6 players. I can't imagine one especially new player running 4 different characters. It does recommend that a player with 2 characters should treat one of them as their main character and the other as a sidekick, there to help out, but probably not engaging in a lot of dialogue, which I think is solid advice. Now, I will be getting into some minor spoilers here for the adventures and just talking about certain locations and foes that you will be facing. The adventure does take characters from level 1 to 3. So it is more limited. I believe Lost Mine of Phandelver, which came with the original starter set, was 1 through 4, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe the Essentials Kit adventure was levels 1 through 7. It really just has you leveling up more quickly in that adventure. It's not that it's a whole lot longer than Lost Mine of Phandelver. So it's a short adventure. It's a small playground, but it is somewhat sandbox. You do have some options in terms of the way players approach things. It's not completely linear, but certainly not as kind of wide open as the adventure in the Essentials Kit was. Chapter 1 has players arriving at Dragon's Rest, which is kind of like a monastery of sorts on Stormwreck Isle. Here's a map of it. And this is kind of a hub for the player characters. And then it has kind of an introductory encounter here where there's some zombies. The players could choose to fight them or not. And then you're basically going up to Dragon's Rest and getting to know some of the NPCs. There are a bunch of kobolds, there's some humans as well, some descriptions of the various locations in Dragon's Rest if they decide to explore, and then you've got some cloister quests. So these are some possibilities, some of which are explored further on in the adventure, but some of which could be explored here in Chapter 1. You've also got some individual quests. So these are, again, things that tie in with each character's backgrounds, which I think is really cool. The Lost Wormling quest, and then you've got Exploring the Island. And so these are additional encounters that could come later. You can kind of pepper them in. You can kind of treat them as random encounters when player characters are traveling from place to place and things like that. And then Chapter 2 has the player characters going to Seagrow Caves, which are filled with myconids and some other stuff. So that's pretty cool. Each of the adventure locations has something to do with the location where a dragon died. So that's kind of something that eventually becomes clear to the player characters as they try to piece together what is going on Stormwreck Isle. Chapter 3 is the Cursed Shipwreck, which has them going out to this shipwreck. There's a lot of undead, and they eventually will face a harpy. And then the Clifftop Observatory is the last chapter, and it has them facing off against a blue dragon wormling named Sparkrender. And that's the end of the adventure. We also get this bit of magic items, very limited here, and the creatures also very limited. You only are getting the creatures that come in this adventure. So the sandbox is quite small here, and it doesn't give you a whole lot of tools for carrying on playing D&D beyond this adventure. So that's probably the biggest disadvantage here, is that you're just not getting a whole lot content-wise. However, the big advantage to this set is that I would say it is the best set for a brand new group. If you have a new Dungeon Master and all new players, this really sets you up for success in a number of ways. First off, there's those videos I mentioned. I watched them. I think they're a really good introduction to the game, and there are some that are specific to this adventure, like one just running this first encounter, Drowned Sailors. Secondly, the text throughout this adventure is much more new DM friendly than any other adventure I've seen. This explanation right here, this is the first time a new DM will have ever run an encounter. So there's information like review the zombie stat block, use the initiative rules in the rulebook to determine who acts first. On the zombies initiative count, here's what they do. The zombies fight until they're defeated. And there's this great tip here about undead fortitude, which kind of gets at this idea of how you can seed information to your players on what's being effective and what's not being effective. A little bit of advice on how you might describe the undead resistance so that the players kind of get the idea without immediately giving them the information. So that's just one example, but there are lots of examples throughout this adventure that I found just to be, a little bit of the training wheels idea, where the creators decided they're going to spell things out more than they would in your standard Dungeons & Dragons adventure. So you're not getting a lot of content, but you're getting an adventure that sets the new DM and new players up for success more than any other product I've seen before from D&D 5th edition. So I think that's a really good thing. So anyway, that's my take on this starter set. But again, if you want to see some of my videos on the original starter set and the Essentials kit, I'll put links in the video description, and you can click that little icon right up there. All right, that's my take on the new D&D starter set. I would love to hear what you think too down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave it a like and make sure you're subscribed. I'd also like to thank the WASD20 patrons before we sign off here. Patrons are people who support the channel on a monthly basis. I couldn't do what I do without them. They're amazing people, and I would know because I get to hang out with them on the weekly live map drawing stream every week. It's a pretty cool little patron perk, and there are some others as well, so you can get more info on all of those cool little benefits over at patreon.com/WASD20. All right, that's going to do it for this one, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. You'll see me again very soon.